I can answer your questions later, okay? So make sure before you start, take your attendance on the Google Classroom, because that's the thing that you will be marked as a present, okay? And let's move on. So the first thing, if you guys remember from last week about seeing a negative sign in front of a parentheses, so everything inside of parentheses, when I say everything about the signs, if it's plus, it has to be reversed to the minus. If it's minus, it has to reverse to the plus. Okay, everything inside of parentheses reverses other way. So for these examples, it says write each expression in the standard form. Okay, so the key thing is standard form means like writing in the shortest and simplest way. Okay. All right, let me grab my pencil. It's a blue. Okay, so inside of parentheses, you have a 3 and y, right? So you need to write it down that 3 and y, like a little bit separately, because you need to put the sign in between. So in front of y, there is a positive sign. So it has to reverse because there is a negative sign in front of it. So you have to put minus in front of y. And in front of 3, because of 3 itself as a positive number, but because of positive, you have to reverse it to the negative. So negative 3 minus y. Okay, this is how you switch. Signs when you open up the parentheses if there is a negative sign in front of it. And it's the same thing. You have a D and you have a 2. Write it down, not to get confused. D and 2, and in order. If D comes first, put the D first. If 2 comes first, second, put the 2 second. Okay, and pay attention what sign you have in front of 2. It's a plus, so it has to reverse it to the negative sign. And if you pay attention in front of D this time, it's a negative sign, so you need to reverse it to the positive, or you don't have to put anything in front of D because it becomes positive. Okay, and in this case, if all of them are negative signs, so if there is a negative sign in front of parentheses, you have to switch it to the other way. So you have 2, the first one, and you have second one is 5x. So 5x. So you need to reverse all signs other way. So the sign in front of 2, it becomes positive. So you're not putting any plus sign. And the sign in front of 5, it becomes positive also because it's negative. And if you reverse it, it becomes opposite way. Okay. So the last one, and this time you have 3 terms. So the first term is 6g, second term is 4h, third term is 2. So you need to write it down all of them separately because those are separate terms, 6g, 4h, and the last one is 2 itself. And because if there is a negative sign in front of parentheses, you need to make it opposite all the signs inside. So this minus sign and this plus sign will reverse it. So the first minus will become positive. The second plus sign, or the sign that in front of 2, it becomes opposite, which is negative. And in front of 6, you have to put the minus sign, because when you say 6, because you're thinking about the number inside of parentheses, right? So in front of 6, actually there is a no sign. That means it's positive. So the negative sign outside the parentheses makes negative. Okay. So these are the things that we talked about last week, and we're gonna talk about like one step further. What if kind of questions, like if there is a negative sign and a number also. So that kind of questions we will talk about today. Okay. And let's move on. So now let's talk about multiplying 2 terms. I saw this morning, like some of the students, like during the intervention time, like kind of getting confused with when they multiply a number with the number that has a variable. So it's kind of a little bit confusing, not too much. So I want to clarify this so that we can understand this correctly. So you can multiply any number with a number that has a variable. You can multiply this, but you cannot add or subtract. You can multiply it, but you cannot add or subtract. So if you multiply, you just need to multiply the numbers. So it's a 6 times 8, which is 48. And because if there is a variable next to the second term, you need to put that variable next to your result. It's a 48t, okay? This is how you do. So, and the second example, so 3 times 4, right? 3 times 4x, I mean. So you need to multiply the numbers only. It's a 3 times 4, it's a 12. And because if there is a variable on the second term, you need to put the variable next to your result, which is 12x. Okay. And next one is sometimes you have a variable term first and number second. So again, you need to multiply the numbers together, 5 and 9, which is 45. And because of the first term has a variable, you need to put the variable next to your result, which is 45R. Okay. And the last example, what if both terms has a variable? So 2g times 7y. It's the same thing. You need to multiply the variable, numbers first, 2 times 7, which becomes 14, and write it down, the variables next to that number. It doesn't matter like which order you put the variable, but you need to put it variable next to your result. So the first term has a g, second term has a y, so your answer is 14gy. Okay, so this kind of multiplications, like when you multiply number with the terms, so you just need to put the variables next to it. Okay, only when you do multiplication, so now what if one of the number has a negative sign? For example, the first one, you're multiplying negative number with a term, right? So again, it's the same thing. The first thing is you need to determine whether it's a positive or negative. Because the first thing is negative, second thing is positive, you're multiplying opposite sign numbers. That means you have a negative result. And then you need to multiply the numbers the way you know it, like 3 times 8, which is 24. And you need to put the variable next to it. Okay, so let's move on. So the first one is positive, the second one is negative number. So when you multiply positive times negative, your result is also negative. So 2 times 6, and it becomes 12, and you need to put the variable next to it. So here there is a like tiny thing, because of there is a parentheses for the negative term. So it's actually multiplication. It's not a subtraction like 2 minus 6x. If there is a no parentheses, then you can say that, okay, it's a subtraction. You cannot multiply it. So there is a big difference between this one, like, like 2 minus sign 6x. It's an expression. But if you put the 6x inside a parentheses, and there is a no sign between 2 and parentheses, so that means it's a multiplication. Now you can multiply it. The first one, you cannot multiply it because it's a different thing. It's an expression. That's why they use a parentheses all the time for negative terms. Okay, so the last one is negative times negative, which becomes positive. So now I don't have to worry about the signs. So 4 times 5, which is 20. And last one is R, so you need to put the variable next to it. Okay, so the last one is again, the first term is negative, second term is also negative. 2 negative becomes positive when you multiply them. And you just need to multiply the numbers together, 2 times 12, which become 24. And you just need to put the variables next to it. So you have variable x and variable y, so x and y. Okay, so these are the multiplying the terms that has a variables, like all of them together. Okay, so let's move on. So now let's go back to distributive property, because this is the key skill that we need to know when we multiply numbers with variable terms. Okay, and let me clear out this. And one more thing, here we go. So now here's the thing. I'm going to show the first and second by using a tape diagram about yesterday's lesson, and the second, these two, I'm going to do it without using a tape diagram. Okay, let me use, 1 is for tape diagram, 2 is for regular way that you can do. So for the tape diagram, we need to like draw tape, and we need to cut it somewhere in the tape, right? Like let's cut like this part. And for this one, oh, by the way, because if you have 2 terms inside of parentheses, you need to you need to cut once to make it 2 rectangles, because you have 2 terms. Because if you have 3 terms in here, so you need to cut this tape this time like 2 times. So you need 3 parentheses, 3 rectangles like this. So because if you have 3 terms, 4n, 5n, and 2, so that's why you need 3 rectangles. Okay, so now let me use another color. So because of you're multiplying the whole parentheses, if you guys remember this, you need to make the height of the parentheses, rectangle with 3. So because it's you're multiplying with 3 number, and for this one, because if you're multiplying the whole parentheses with 7, the height of that all rectangles would be 7. Now you need to break it down. So the first term is 2x. So the width of the first rectangle is 2x, and the second term is 1. But you need to be careful. There is a negative sign in front of 1, so that means it's a -1. Okay, you need to put minus sign. And for the second rectangles, so let me go back to this one later, because let's finish up this one first. So if you guys like remember finding an area of the rectangle, you just need to multiply height with width, right? So now 3 times 2x. So you just need to multiply 3 and 2, which is 6. And you need to put the variable next to it. So 6x. The area of the first rectangle is a 6x. So the area of the second rectangle, the height is 3 and the width is -1. So 3 times -1, which is -3. Okay. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much. Because of this is I do part, I'm not checking my chat box immediately, but I can see like a lot of you like typing their answers in the chat box. I would say thank you so much, but I really apologize if I'm not commenting your responses, okay? And this is the last one. So when you distribute, you just need to put these together, the area of each rectangle. The first one is 6x, and the second is just -3. Okay, so when you distribute these 3 inside of parentheses, your result would be like putting together the area of each rectangle. And for the second one, because of the first term is 4n, the width of the first rectangle would be 4n. Okay, and because of the second term is 5m, but in front of the 5m there is a negative sign, so which is a -5m. So the width of the second rectangle would be -5m. Okay, and the last one is the width of last rectangle is 2, because my last term is 2 and it's a +2. If you pay attention, in front of 2 there's a plus sign, so it's just 2. Now we need to find out what is the area for each rectangles. Thank you so much. Yeah, one student gave me the answer, so I'm going to copy that answers. So 7 times 4, it's a 28, and you need to put the variable next to it. And the area of the second rectangle is 7 times -5, which is 35. You got it. Thank you so much. And you need to put the variable next to it. And the last one is 7 times 2, which is, yes, it is 14. Okay. So the answer for this distribution is you just need to put these areas together. Like the first one is 28n. I'm going to put 28n. And the second one is -35m, -35m. And the last one is just a +14. So because of it's positive, I need to put plus sign, +14. Okay. So this is the result for distribution. This is the result. This is the way that you can rewrite product as a sum, okay, as an addition. All right, thank you so much. Yes. So now let me show you another way to do this, like without using a tape diagram. Okay. So for the first example, and here, I mean, the second one. So the first number, you have a -10, right? So you can do this like distributing means multiplying the number outside of parentheses with everything inside of parentheses. So -10 times b and -10 times 4c. This is how you do. So because of it's a negative, if you guys remember, everything reverses inside of parentheses. Okay, there is not only negative sign this time. There is also number now. So you do 2 jobs. Number 1, you need to reverse the all signs. Number 2, you need to multiply the number that outside of parentheses with every single term inside of parentheses. So let's do the number 1. So because of the first term is b and it's a positive b, right? So the first thing will be negative. I'm going to put the b parentheses. So I'm going to write it down my multiplication in here. And there is a plus sign after the b. So that have to be negative again because it reverses. And the second thing is 4c. But after I do the multiplication, it's going to change. So now let me do the multiplication. So 10 times b, because of your multiplying number with variable, you just need to put them together. It's a 10b. Okay, 10 times b, it's a 10b. And 10 times 4c, it's a, yes, it's a 40c. So 10 times 4, it's a 40, and you need to put the variable next to it. And now you need to write it down So let me write it down without parentheses now, because I put this to show you to determine the signs. It's a negative 10b and negative 40c. Okay, so this is how you get the result without using a tape diagram. If you feel that tape diagram is easy, always use a tape diagram so you can organize your work and to see everything clearly. Okay, please feel free to use a tape diagram all the time on a piece of paper. Okay, and the second one, it's the same thing. For the second example, it's a number 2, but it's a negative 2. Because if there is a negative sign, you have to reverse everything opposite way. So the first thing is b, and it's a positive. So you need to make it negative the first term. So I'm going to put empty parentheses. And second term is 7c. I'm going to put like empty parentheses again. In front of 7c, it's negative. I have to reverse it because of the negative sign in front of it. And the 5, the last one, it has to come right here. And because if there is a negative sign, I have to reverse that one is also. So now I need to multiply every single thing. 2 times b, 2 times 7c, and 2 times 5. 2 times b, it's a 2b. 2 times 7, it's a 14. And there is a variable next to it, so I need to put the variable next to it. And the last time, 2 times 5, which is 10. Okay, this is how you distribute anything, the number that outside the parentheses, inside the parentheses. So now let me rewrite it to show you clearly. So the first one is 2b plus, it's a 14c, plus the last one is 10. Okay, so this is how you distribute without using a tape diagram. If you feel tape diagram is easy, again, use a tape diagram all the time. That's the easy way to. Okay, you don't understand? Okay, so okay, let's move on. Let's see what we have on the we do part now. I'm going to open up the chat box. Let's clear out this. Okay, so for the first one, what do you think if you distribute 2 inside of parentheses? You guys can type your answers in the chat box. Okay, now you can type it. Okay. Okay, hybrid students, you can also type your answers in the chat box. What do you think for the first one? Yes. Okay, so the first one is, you can use a tape diagram if you have a piece of paper, or if you don't have a piece of paper, you just need to multiply 2 with everything inside of parentheses, 2 times x and 2 times 10. Okay, what do you think? Oh, somebody got it, but there is a tiny missing thing. Okay, one student got it right. Oh, no, it's not. I apologize. There is a tiny thing. Uh-oh. Okay, now one student got it. Okay, only one student got it. Only one student got it. Stop. Okay. So it's a 2 times, the first one is 2 times x, because you're distributing the 2 with everything inside. And there is a plus sign after x, so you need to put the plus sign. Okay. And then 2 times 10, which is 20, or 2, let me write it down explicitly, like 2 times 10. So you multiplied that 2 with everything inside of parentheses. Okay, x and 10. So 2 times x will be 2x, and plus 2 times 10, it's a 20. I think only I saw one student got this, 2x plus 20. Okay, 2x plus 20. By the way, some students said it's a 22x, but be careful. 20, it's a number itself. 2x, it's a term that has a variable x. So you cannot add 2x with 20. You need to leave it like this because these are not like terms. Like terms means the terms that has both of them that the same variable. So 20 doesn't have an x. If 20 has an x, then you can add it. Otherwise, you need to leave it like this. Okay? And we call this kind of things expressions. Okay? Yes, thank you so much. Now, a couple students corrected their answers. Yes. So you cannot add it. The answer is like this. So for the next one, what do you think now? You have a number 3 and you're multiplying that 3, everything inside of parentheses. Like this. 3 times 4b, 3 times 12c, and 3 times 11. So let's try this one. Whoops, it's not only 20. Somebody got 33. Okay, what do you think? Okay, take your time. I heard students are doing it in the classroom. Okay, oh, one student got it. Let me see. Yes. Yes. Yes, you got it. Now second student got it. Let me see. The first student got it right. Second student, it's a yes. 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 Okay. Third student got it. Correct. Correct. Until now, all students submitted their correct answers. Okay, there is a tiny thing. I think it's a like tiny error. Don't worry about it. Okay, 3 times 4, it's a 12b, and there is a plus sign next to it. And 3 times 12, it's a 36, and there is a variable c, so you need to put the next to it. And the last one is 3 times 11, and there is a plus sign. I mean, it's a 33. Okay, perfect. I'm so glad that you guys understand this. Okay, so now let's try this one. What if there is a negative sign in front of 9? I mean, in front of that parentheses, or in front of parentheses, there is a number with negative sign. Okay, so let's try this one. First, just multiply 9 with everything and then reverse the signs. So that will be easy for you. What do you think? Try this question. Okay, let me see. Somebody got. Okay, the first student answered that. Only there is a tiny thing. Pay attention for the first term. The rest of them are right. I mean, the numbers are right, letters are right, only with the positive or negative thing. Okay, second student, you're kind of close, but something is missing. Okay, one student got it right, and okay, you got it also right. Awesome. So yeah, I have 3 students got it correctly. Let me help you. Let me show you. So you know your answers, right? Let's check it. So 9 times g, it's a 9g, right? And 9 times 5, it's a 45. And because if there is a h, you need to put the h next to it. So don't forget putting variables next to it if there is a variables in these terms. The first term has a variable, second term has a variable. And now you need to switch the sign. This sign will become positive, and almost everybody got the same. And the first one, because of the g, it's positive, you need to switch it to the negative. So I think only 1 or 2 students like missed that negative sign in front of it. Okay, thank you so much. A lot of you are understanding this. And let's try the last one now. Let's try the last one. So you have 3 terms. You have 8j, but it's a positive. Be careful. And 3l, it's a negative. And 9, it's a positive. So what happens if you distribute the 6 with every single term inside of parentheses? 6 times 8, 6 times 3, and 6 times 9. Let's try this one. Okay, Kendall, you also try. No, could you try, please? Yeah, the last question. Yep.
You didn't write that?
I wrote it down this one. Okay.
Okay. Talk about it.
Okay, take your time. I'm gonna wait. Let's try this one because.
I'll try.
Mhm.
You want me to use the calculator?
Yeah, feel free to use the calculator for multiplication.
No, I ain't gonna.
Okay, one student got it. Let me see. Yes. Yes.
So far, so good.
Yep. So the first student got it
Oh,
right.
48
Okay, second student. Yes, second student also got it right, but that student has to simplify it. Third student also, last student also. But your answers are right. I'm not saying wrong. You just need to simplify it, okay? And I'll tell you what do you mean simplify. If you see two negative signs, that becomes positive, if you guys remember this. If you see opposite sign like a plus and minus or minus and plus, it becomes negative. So you just need to simplify those. But numbers are correct for almost all students. Okay, so now let me do this. 6 times 8, it's a 48, as you guys did it. Yes. Oh, okay. Thank you so much. You corrected, by the way, the signs. And the second one is 6 times 3. It's 18L. Okay. And 18L. The last one is 6 times 9. It's a 54. And so now let's say the sign. In front of 9, there is a positive. It has to be negative. And in front of 3L, there is a negative sign. It has to be positive. And this one, because of 8 is positive 8J, it has to be negative. So like 95 or 99% of students got it right. Okay, thank you so much. And the others are also not getting wrong. It's just the tiny things about plus and minus things. Okay, don't worry about. So if you guys understanding this, and that's awesome. So yes, so these kind of questions that you will be practiced today on the IXL. Yeah, last student also got it. Yes. So let's move on. Let's see what we have on the next. Okay. Oh, this is a daily problem. So I can help you with this. I know word problems takes a lot of time, but we don't have a lot of time left. Let me see what we have on the next. Okay, so let's skip this word problem. It's just writing it down, the expression. Actually, you don't have to do add or subtract something. You need to write it down in the equation. So let me do this question because this is a benchmark type question. Once we finish this unit, you're going to see these kind of questions in your benchmark. So what I'm planning to do is every day, so we can do one question that related to our benchmark exam. Okay, so let's see in this one. So you guys can try your answers in the chat box. I'm going to wait. So you need to know two things with these like combining terms. Number one, what is a like term? As I told you, like term are the terms that has a variable. For example, 8C and 3C, those are like terms because both of them has a variable C. And let me circle this, 3C and 8C. And another like terms are, let me use different color this time, blue, 6 and 2, because both of them are numbers that doesn't have a variable. Those are like terms. And C terms, both of them has the same variables, which is a C. Okay, so now what happens if you simplify this? Okay, I have some student says B, some student says A, some student says D. Okay, we have three different kind of answers. We have A's, we have B's, and nobody says C, and last one is D. Okay, let me check this. When you add, oh, okay, one student has a C now. Everybody has different answers. Okay, let's see. Every time when you combine means putting together like terms, always pay attention the signs in front of it. For example, if I go with numbers first, what sign I have in front of 6? I have plus. What sign I have in front of 2? I have minus. So I need to write it down those separately, like, oops, it's a positive 6, right? It's a 6 itself because there is a plus sign, and the second one is minus, so minus 2. So the number will be 6 minus 2, which is 4. Who has a 4? This has a 4. This has a 4. So you guys can now eliminate the D and B. Okay? So, and those are positive. So I'm correct now because it's a positive 4. And second thing, let me grab another pencil. So now you have a 8c, but in front of 8, there is a no sign, which is positive. So it's a 8c, and in front of c there is a negative sign, so it's a minus sign. So you need to put the minus 3c. Okay. So I know that now 8 minus 3, it's a 5, and I need to put the variable next to it, which is 5c. So now let's see what happens. So this has a 5c, and this has a 5c, but we already crossed out, so we don't have to worry about this. And only answer, it looks like A. Okay. So, oh my gosh, somebody said it. Yes, it's a lot of A, maybe more than 100.
Yeah, I picked A.
Okay.
No, you didn't. I randomly picked A.
Yeah. 3 students corrected it. Thank you so much. And a couple students also. Okay, so these type of questions that you will see in your benchmark, like be careful, 2 things. Number 1, like terms, the terms that has the same variable. And the second thing, the signs that in front of those terms. So minus or plus, you need to put as it is. Whatever its sign is, so you need to put as it is. So I didn't put the plus sign in front of 8 because it doesn't make sense, because there is a no number in front of that plus sign. Okay. So yeah, that's it. This is for today. And I know we don't have too much time for UDO part. We have an intervention class today, so you guys can finish up during the intervention time or 11. Okay, there is a 1 IXL today, and make sure you do. Like, we have 4 minutes left till end of the classroom. So in this exit ticket, it's just the review from today. Make sure you do this and submit this participation grade. Okay, so this is the lesson summary. So distributing a number means multiplying the number with every single term inside of parentheses. So here's the example. If there is a 5, you need to multiply that 5 with every single thing and simplify it. Okay. Yeah, that's all. If you finish this, you guys can leave. And thank you so much for coming. I'm so happy seeing you guys all today. Okay. Bye.